Free Rise is an educational trivia game that helps you get smarter while making a difference for people around the world. So by simply answering mathematical questions, you raise money for charity. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is for you to contribute to this cause. Because we're big brain, we're going to automate it with Python. And what we end up having is something that looks like this.
Wow!
To do what we're trying to do with Python, we're going to have to install some libraries. First off, we're going to search for something called Tesseract OCR. Search Tesseract OCR. Then go to this GitHub link. Then scroll down till you find this installation page. Press this link. Then scroll down again till come to Windows. Then press this download. Then scroll down again, press this button. Then we're going to download this file right here. Wait for it to download. Now that it's downloaded, press it down here. As you can see, I already have this installed, but I will install it again. First, I will uninstall it. And then I install it. Yes, press next. Accept and install it for all users. Then I choose the location. Then I press next. Then I just take off all the boxes and press install. And just press OK to all these. And press next. And we do not need to read the readme, and now it's downloaded. So the only thing that is important when downloading Tesseract is to remember where you downloaded it to. Now we open up our text editor. I have loaded up a folder called Rise Clicker, and I am going to make a file called rise_clicker.py, and I'm going to zoom in. And now, assuming you have downloaded Python before, you are going to fire up the command prompt. Here we're going to navigate to where my folder is, so I'm going to do that. Now I am inside the folder, and I'm going to install some packages. I'm going to use pip to install all these packages, and as you can see, these are the packages we need. Press enter. And I already have all the packages installed, but that's how you install it. Now we're going to code the program. So first off, we're going to import all libraries. The next thing we're going to do is to locate where our Tesseract file is. So I have located mine and I installed it to this folder. So here I'm going to right click on the tesseract.exe. Then I'm going to copy as path. Now I'm going to set the pytesseract cmd variable equals to this path. This allows us to use the executable we just downloaded in our program. Next thing we're going to do is to look through the different monitors we have. If you only have one, it's okay. But if you have multiple, this is necessary. So we are going to use the screen info get monitors to find all the monitors and then find which monitor is your primary monitor. So what this does is it sets the variable monitor equals to the primary monitor. And from this, we are going to define two variables. These variables are the width and the height of the monitor. These variables we are going to use later on. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a while loop so our program keeps running. How this while loop works is that if we press the Q button, the while loop will break. Next thing we're going to go back to Free Rise, go to categories and scroll down to multiplication table. I have zoomed in 175% and you should too. When you have done that, go back to Visual Studio Code. The next thing is going to save a screenshot of the screen to a variable and then save it in our folder. So let's make this variable. Here I'm going to define two variables in the top of my while loop. These variables will define the middle of the screen and the height for where this screenshot should be taken. I'm now going to use these variables in my screenshot function. These last two variables is the width of the screenshot and the height of the screenshot. Now we have the screenshot and we're going to save it to the folder. I'm now going to run the program to see if it screenshots the right region. So I'm going to go back to rewrite. Then I'm going to go to my command prompt and here I will run the Python script. Be sure to be in the same folder as your Python script before running this command or else it won't work. So I will run it. And as soon as it runs, I will stop it again and I will look in my folder and here I can see there is an image and it rightfully captures the right region. So the screenshot function works. You might need to change these variables to fit your screen, but everything else should be the same. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to open the image again, resize it, and then read the numbers in the image with the tesseract library. So let's write the code for that. This is the code for resizing the image. Now we're going to use pytesseract to read the text and the image. Now we have the text from the image, and before we're going to display the text, we're going to write a function which sanitizes this output. The reason why we do this is because sometimes there's a space and sometimes the multiplication sign is a large X. So we're going to put it all in lowercase and remove all spaces and all unnecessary escapes. So here in the top, we're going to define a function called sanitize. Now we're going to use this function on the output of our image read from pytesseract. Now that we have done that, we can split the output into two numbers. To see if this works, we're going to print the output of this array. So open up the terminal again, go back to rewrite, then run the Python script again. As you can see here, we are getting the right output, 17 and 10. Now we can see that that works, so we can go back to the code and we can now convert each of these numbers to an integer and then calculate the total. So go back to the code, remove this print, make a variable called total, and then convert each of these numbers to an integer. And as you can see, I also multiplied it together. So now we're going to print the total to see if it works. So we open up our terminal again and we open up rewrite. Now we're going to run the script again. Let us see if it calculates the right value. As you can see, the right answer comes out, so it works. Now that this part of the script works, we can go on to the next part. We are going to close the terminal again. We're going to have to take a screenshot of each of these numbers and then convert it like we did with these numbers. So what we're going to do is that we're going to make a function which takes a screenshot of each of these numbers. How we are going to do that is by using the same width offset and height offset as we used to take a screenshot of the other numbers, and then we are just going to add some extra offset for each of these numbers. So if we look at the top numbers 17 and 10, we're going to add, let's say, 100 pixels, and then we have first number, then we're going to add 200 pixels, and then we have second number, and so on and so forth. So this function only takes in the parameter of the offset, and then it takes the name of the number. So let's go back to the code and create the function. So we go up here under these variables and functions, then we define findNum function. It takes in two parameters, the y offset and the name of the number. So first off, we're going to make a variable where the screenshot is stored. And the same as before, the last two variables is the width of the screenshot and the height of the screenshot. Now we're going to save these images like we saved the other screenshot. So here we have our variable name. So now we're going to do the same as before. We're going to open the image and resize it and then read the text. Actually, we're just going to copy the code we made before because it's actually the same. The only difference here is that we change this value from 6 to 4 and we change our variable names down here to, instead of result, to num. The last thing we do is that we return a variable as an integer. The last thing we need to do is to find out where the offsets of the different numbers are. So I recommend you that you put in a print statement here, print the output, and leave out the return function for now. Then we are going down to the while loop, and here we're going to define some variables of the numbers offset. So I have gone ahead and already found these offsets, and I'm going to type them in here. These are my offsets. I'm now going to check if I get the output and the right images. So down here, I'm going to comment out the total print. Then I'm going to call the function for each of these nums. And now I'm going to go back to the rewrite side and I'm going to run the script. And as you can see, I have made a mistake. So I go up here to my function and I actually need to replace this 7 with a y because that's our variable. And now I'm going to run the script again. Now I can see I get the right numbers. I go back to my folder here. Then I check the images and I can see I get the images and I can easily read the numbers. So of course you have to fiddle around with these numbers to get them perfect and to get the perfect screenshots, or else PyTestRec can't read the numbers and you are not going to be able to do this. So now we're going to go back to the function and comment this back in and comment out the print and run the script again to be sure that it is still working. Go over to my terminal and I be sure to go back to FreeRise and then I run the script. And it doesn't fail, so I assume it works. So the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to compare the total to each of these numbers. So if the number is equal to the total, we of course have to click that number. Close down the terminal, go back to the code, and down here I'm going to make 4 if statements. The next thing here is that we're not going to print something if the number is equal to the total, but we're going to click it. But how do we do that? We're going to make a function called click. We scroll up here all the way to the top. Then we define a function called click. It takes in 2 parameters, the x and the y value. And here we're going to use the Win32 API to set the cursor and click the mouse. So this right here clicks down the left button. Now we're going to make a little delay. Now we're going to release the left button. So this is our click button and we are going to put in the right x and y values for each of these numbers. So for the x value, the width offset we have set, we make sure that it is an integer and we use the variable we have defined called width offset, and the y value also an integer. Here we take the height offset plus the num1 offset, and this we're going to do for each of the numbers. Now to check if it works, we're going to go back to FreeRise, start up our terminal, and then we're going to run the script. So it calculated it right and pressed the right button, but something went wrong. So because our while loop reacts too fast, we need to add some delay so it has time to refresh the page and give us some new numbers. So what we're going to do is that we go back to the code. In the top of our while loop, we're going to add time.sleep at 6 seconds. Then we are going to go back to FreeRise. Sometimes one of these buttons stay green, and when it stays green, we just need to click it again. We go back to the code, and here we're going to add 4 more lines here to get the color of each button. And here we are going to use the same x and y values as the click function. So we are just going to copy this one and paste it here. And to copy this line, just press Shift and Alt together and press the down arrow 3 times. And then I am going to mark each of these ones by pressing Ctrl D 1, 2, 3 times. Change it to 2. Press the down arrow, backspace, then press 3, down, backspace, and 4. Now I have the colors of each of the buttons. Now I am going to make some if statements, and it is actually the same if statements as down here. Just now we are going to check if the R value is equals to 255. If it's not equals to 255, it's green, and we're going to click it. So I'm going to place some cursors on top of each other here by pressing Ctrl, Alt, and down arrow 3 times. Then I'm going to press Shift while pressing the right arrow. I'm going to press Ctrl C. I'm going to select these again, press Ctrl V, paste in this. I'm going to press the right arrow and make an exclamation mark. And then I'm going to remove this and place into 55. Now, if the button is green, we click it. But we also need to make sure that our numbers can refresh. So we need to add time.sleep after each of these click. The last thing we're going to do, I'm going to close down the terminal, is that we are going to print all of these numbers. So down here, I'm going to call the print function. I am going to give it the total variable, and I'm going to make 4 more of these. For this, I'm going to use the different numbers. So now we are going to go back to FreeRise. We are going to launch up the terminal, and then we are going to run our script. And as you can see, our script works perfectly fine. It clicks the right button every time, calculates the right value, and therefore we can start collecting rice and donate it to charity. And to stop the program, you just hold down the Q button. And as you can see, it stopped over here, and that is how you do it. And as you can see here, I've collected 255 grains of rice, and I am going to leave it running for a couple of hours so you can see how much rice you can get. I've come back now after a couple of hours. The auto clicker has run in this time, so let us see how many rice we have collected. So let us stop the script by holding down Q. As you can see, I've collected 12,800 and maybe 30 grains of rice. So that is very nice. And one thing I forgot to mention is, and which I also forgot to do, was to log in. That was a mistake by me. But anyways, this has still been collected, and now I am going to log in. Now that I'm logged in, I can start to collect rice again. So as before, I am loading up this site and I am running the script. Now I can see how many rice in total I have donated so far. Hopefully after this tutorial you can start donating rice too and contribute to this cause. I hope you liked these types of videos and want to see more of them in the future. And I also hope you are going to make the same script as I did. I will link the source code in the description so you can make it yourself. Please go and collect some rice. It is going to a good cause. So yeah, hope you liked it.